Right. So this is Magnus. And Magnus is mechanically pretty simple. The biggest issue here is that there's constantly balls that are falling down from the sky that you need to avoid. The blue and the red ones will one-shot you, even if you like barely graze them. The green ones, on the other hand, will only get you down to 1 health. If you're already below, below max HP, it probably will one-shot you. So for the most part, avoid any and all balls whatsoever if you can. The other thing here is that there is potlock as well, so you have to be careful about your health and when you're using potions. There's a lot of knockbacks in this fight, so having a warrior in the party for stance is usually a pretty big deal. In addition to that, when it gets to half health, without a warrior in your party, you won't be able to crash the boss, basically, and continue attacking the boss. So basically, you'll have to kill the minions in order to fight the boss, kind of like Adhila, where you have to clear the minions and then you can attack the boss. In here, a warrior can bring Power Crash, and that will allow the boss to continue to be attacked, even while the minions are still alive. Another thing to watch out for in this boss fight is right underneath him, you can see like there's that green canister that just exploded. It bubbles up for a little bit before it actually explodes, like right there, right next to me. Once it does explode, it has a very high chance of stunning you. And if you're stunned, there's a chance that you die. I may have died there just now. Knocked into a ball. If you're ever at a chance where there's an opportunity where you can die, the best thing to do is to log out and log back in. That's going to be the only thing really that saves you. You got to be really quick with your movements and actions and decision making on this boss. Knowing when to run through to avoid a ball. You got to constantly be watching where you're at, because if there's a knockback and you're about to like go into a ball from the knockback, there's a really high chance that that ball is going to kill you. So this boss can be really tough at times. And you also want to make sure that if there's a canister that appeared next to you, you want to get out of the way. Make sure that you don't get stunned and then have to relog, because you can't get out of the way. It's pretty frustrating, but we already have stance, so nothing else you can really do. He does have another one-shot mechanic where he'll charge up his sword and then slam down. And the area for which that it is effective is from his wingtips to from one wingtip to the other wingtip. So when he's charging it from like right about here to right about there, from wingtip to wingtip, is where the area of effect that he will one-shot everybody that's still underneath there. There are some exceptions, like Buccaneer. If they time their abilities just right, they have like a brief amount of invulnerability, and so they're able to survive the one-shot because they're invulnerable during that time. Dual Blades can do it with Bloody Storm. I don't know if there's any other classes that have invulnerability off the top of my head, but some of those classes are able to stay underneath him even when he's doing his one-shot. But for everybody else, just make sure you're outside from underneath him and where his wings, expand. Otherwise, just keep an eye on your buffs and on your potions and whatnot, and make sure that you are, calling out for any buffs that you need. Avoid all the balls that happen. Come down. Oh, there's a little green there. Everybody there just got stunned. They didn't happen to see it. And last thing to talk about, seduce. When somebody dies, there is a mechanic where one person gets seduced every time somebody dies. And in that instance, I was seduced because somebody died, and I didn't have the reaction speed nor time to use Hero's Will to get out of that seduce, and I died. However, thankfully we have an Evan in our party, and they are able to grant us Soul Stone, which allows us to basically come back from the dead one time. Alright, so we're at halfway. At the halfway point, the minions will spawn, and Magnus will be not able to be attacked. So we need the warrior to come back and crash, so that we can continue to attack the boss. And then the warrior or another party member that can actually move mobs around will get the mobs all the way over to the left-hand side, and we'll continue to, hold the mobs over there and attack them, while the rest of us who don't need to pad damage will continue to attack the boss. A lot of classes aren't necessarily good at single target, so the classes that get a lot of damage from attacking mobs will usually split off and go to the left to continue attacking the mobs to get their minimum damage, especially if they're leeching. They'll go over there and get their minimum damage and leave the instance. The DPS will typically continue to attack the boss, since they should be at a fairly high level of DPS in order to be doing a DPS role in Magnus. It's usually around 60 to 65 is where parties have a preference to have a trio of DPS. In this instance, I have some of my friends with me, so we're all just running it together, even though technically they are more than welcome to log out and just hang out until the boss fight is over. Alright, so we keep checking on their damage. They're about 2.5 billion away. So here's where we'll start to slow down on our DPS. Right around. Check again. We're still 2 billion away. He's almost there. He's almost there. There he is. And then I got stuck. Oh no. It's getting wild here at the end. Just gotta make sure Reckless is number one. Alright, let's hope for a potted ring here. GG's. Alright, well that's Magnus. Luck on your runs.